Okay, so moving on, according to law.com, on the prostitution statistics you have to know, about 40% of prostitutes are former child prostitutes and were illegally forced into the profession through human trafficking or once were teenage runaways. 68% of the prostituted women meet the criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder, in the same range as combat veterans and victims of torture, according to the National Network to End Domestic Violence. Women in prostitution have a death rate that is 40 times higher than the women who are involved in or not involved in prostitution, according to womenslaw.org. And so, as far as the prostitutes being victimized, I'm disagreeing with the statement that the first affirmative speaker said. I don't believe legalizing prostitution would protect these women. In 2 studies in which 186 victims of commercial sexual exploitation were interviewed, women convincingly indicated that prostitution establishments did little to protect them, regardless of whether establishments were illegal or legal. One woman said the only time they protect anyone is to protect their customers. In the brothels that do exist now, they have surveillance cameras, and the function of cameras was to protect the buyer and the brothel rather than the woman. This happened when one brothel put a camera after one of their buyers had died. Protection of the woman from abuse was a secondary or no importance. According to Business Insider, prostitutes usually don't have the authority to refuse customers unless there's an acceptable reason approved by management. According to a former illegal Nevada prostitute, she wasn't allowed to refuse a customer. Once the customer enters the establishment, the available employees line up and introduce themselves. The customer chooses the one he likes, then the two decide on a price. In some countries and towns, prostitutes aren't allowed to leave the brothels during the days they're working, and according to The Guardian. Also, these brothels offer a flat rate for the customers for the price of the sex worker, and these prices range, and it's up to the brothels and the management to decide the price, not necessarily the sex worker. And then according to APT in 2014, when one brothel's business was suffering from recession, one of the brothel managements allowed the lowering of the price for the sex worker. And so legalization actually makes it more difficult to prosecute rapists, perpetuators, and traffickers because the sex industry are more legitimized under legalization. There is no basic presumption that buying or selling someone else's body is a crime, and therefore the burden on victims of violence prove that they are experiencing harm or exploitation is actually increasing. When sexual exploitation is legalized, sexual abusers can have excuses to abuse the sex workers. And contrary to expectations, legalization has not only increased sex trafficking of women and children, but it also failed to change the stigma attached to prostitution. So most importantly, women in systems of prostitution do not want the sex industry legalized or decriminalized. In a 5-country study of sex trafficking, most of the United States strongly stated their opinion that prostitution should be more risks and harm for women from already violent customer pimps. One woman said, no way, it's not a profession, it's humiliating and violence from the men's side. Not one woman interviewed wanted their children, family, and friends to have earned money entering the industry. Another woman said that prostitution stripped her of her own life, health, and everything. There is no evidence that legalization of prostitution makes things better for women in the prostitution industry. It makes things better for the government who legalized the prostitution, both of which enjoy increased revenue. State-sponsored prostitution sanitizes and normalizes the realities of the industry.